Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Career and Life Show. It is 9 degrees here in Delaware. I am super excited for my next guest on the Career and Life Show. When you think Seattle, what do you first think of? You think Pacific Northwest, you think rain, grunge rock, Nirvana, and of course, coffee, the home of Starbucks, coffee, and more coffee. My next guest, his name is Dennis, aka Lao Ocean, and he's actually a YouTuber and vlogger. Never think Seattle and YouTube and vlogging. I came across Dennis about 6 months ago when I was doing some research on Seattle, and I want to go out there and love it, especially Pike Place Market. And I was watching his videos, and I was enamored by how he actually did his videos, the editing, and just the way he spoke, the way he talked, how he moved around. He kind of inspired me to get out of the comfort zone of just standing around shooting a video, walking around like I am doing today. So we're going to talk about what it takes to be a successful vlogger, because Dennis on his YouTube channel has at least over 1.6 million views right now, and he is just smashing it. He's getting 9,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 views on his videos. So I'm super excited to talk to Dennis to find out what it takes to be successful as a YouTuber and vlogging. Let's go.
Our world is changing faster and faster. Humans are constantly on the go. Over 70% of people are not happy in some way. They're living in the shadows of fear, especially in their careers and life. Are we humans doomed? I don't think so. And that's where I come in. My name is Joseph Stanley Reichowski, otherwise known as Joe Woo. Each week, I seek to uncover what it takes to truly live your life to the fullest by finding out through interviewing people what were their failures and what did it take for them to reach success. Their stories are truly inspiring, and perhaps they'll inspire you to let go of your fear and live your career and life to the fullest.
All right, everybody. I've got the great Dennis, aka Lao Ocean, an amazing YouTuber from Seattle here on the Career and Life Show. Dennis, what's going on?
Oh, good morning. Good morning, Joe and everyone. I'm just hanging out here at the coffee shop.
I love this.
It's something that I love to do, is hang out at coffee shops, and yeah, so that's what I'm doing.
Awesome. I love it. You got your drink. I got my Seattle beverage here as well, too. And just as we were talking, you said there was a tsunami warning. So that kind of jarred me for a second. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, oh, wait, Seattle. That's right. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. So hopefully all is good there. And we'll keep a good eye on things. So
Sure.
So how did you get your start in becoming a YouTuber and a vlogger? Like what got you going in this path?
Yeah, well, I've always enjoyed documenting. I got into photography a long time ago, close to 20 years ago by now.
Wow.
And so I did photography for a long time, and I did street photography. I mean, I did different styles of photography. I did street photography, I did portraiture and everything else. But what really drew me was street photography.
Right.
And then as of about 3 years ago or so, I said, you know what, I'm going to document by way of video instead, because I think it's just, it's just more immersive. It's just different. You can see, hear, it's active. And so then I said, let me start doing this, and let me start documenting my environment and my walks and the places I go to, my community, that sort of thing. And so that's in a nutshell, that's how I got started.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you can see how you enjoy it. And I love the walks. Obviously, Pike Place is pretty cool. It's awesome to see. But what do you enjoy most about what you do? Like, was there one thing that sticks out that you're like, man, this is why I do this?
Yeah, I actually like I love going for walks. And it feels like such an old man thing to say, because, midlife,
Yeah.
but it's something I wouldn't say when I was, maybe even 10 years ago, I wouldn't say something like this. 10 years ago is very different from today, you guys, for
Right.
folks in their 30s.
Yep.
But yeah, I just like going for these walks and getting the fresh air and everything that's around here, and soaking in the environment. I love to people watch. I love to observe. I like to document how this city, which is again my environment for now and the foreseeable future, how it's evolving and morphing. Seattle is changing a lot, and
Right.
so I enjoy all of it. I mean, I love the walking, but I enjoy the documenting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love how you walk through, Pike Place, or you'll be, right on the edge of the waterfront and walking down there. And I saw the one where you're kind of walking in the snow with the black ice, and I'm sitting there laughing. I'm like, I hope he doesn't fall. But that's the fun of it, I think, is like you never know what you're going to expect, and that's what kind of keeps you going.
Yeah,
That's awesome. So your channel, Lao Ocean, now has about 1.6 million views, I think I saw, and I was like, wow, like in basically 3 years' time. Just to see your channel grow. And I was looking back at it, and I'm like, it's just amazing how all of a sudden, and we talked about this before, a little bit of the momentum. You've got such great momentum. So what do you attribute that success to? Is there one thing that sticks out, or that you grew so fast?
I think, I'm learning as I'm going. And as far as the successful part, I don't know how successful that is. I'm no Mr. Beast who has like 2 billion followers,
Right, exactly.
Small channel. Yeah, I'm a small channel, but I do feel like there's good momentum right now. And I think the ingredient for me is because there's a lot of ingredients in the recipe, and I love learning all of this, the YouTube algorithm. It's providing value. You have to provide value to people, right? Like, why is it that people want to watch? Well, they want to see what Pike Place Market looks like. And maybe they might even want to see it on a monthly basis, which I do monthly walks. Maybe they want to see what it looks like in January, when there's snow. And then maybe they might want to see what it looks like in July. And then they might want to see what the lower levels look like, because Pike Place Market is it's many acres. It's a huge place. So that alone could be its own channel. But I do other stuff too. I walk throughout Seattle. I travel. I eat, and I talk about my my culture as well, which I'm Lao, or Laotian, originally from the country of Laos. So I do a lot of different things. But going back to your question, you have to provide value. It has to be about the person on the opposite end of the camera, and not this guy.
Yeah, that's it. And that's what I always say, like before every show, I'm like, okay, what value am I going to provide here? Interviewing this guest or that guest, or putting out this video or this content. What is it going to do to help people? And I love how you put that. And you can see that clearly in the videos you do, because you do different, pieces of walking around different places, and you stop and interview people. I saw the one where you stopped and saw the fruit vendors, and you were just talking about fruit. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. It's always interesting. It's like, what's he going to do next? And I love that value that you bring to it. So that is really awesome.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah.
Yep. So I know you do like the walking tours. I saw you did the car rides and travel, and the food adventure, and obviously coffee. We talked about that. You're a coffee freak like me, which is great. What's your favorite place in Seattle then, would you say? Like, if you have one place you say, this is like it where I love to film, what is that?
I love Pike Place Market.
Yeah.
I love Pike Place Market. So 2 places, Pike Place Market and the International District, which is where I'm at right now. I'm sitting at Panama Hotel, which is in Japantown. International District here is 3 neighborhoods. It's Japantown, Chinatown, and Little Saigon. I'm in the Japantown part of International District. I like it. It's vibrant. And, sometimes when I want to take a quick vacation, I don't have to go far. I have to go just like 3 miles from my house, and there I am, so.
That's awesome. I know. I don't know what it is for me, like about Pike Place Market. I know because my wife got me interested in Starbucks coffee years ago. And then I just started reading about Seattle, and then found a friend, and then obviously the grunge rock and stuff. And I was like, never wanted to visit. And all of a sudden, the last couple of years, I just got this like urge to I got to visit Seattle, and just starting to see things. And then when I came across your channel and I started seeing Pike Place, and that place is so damn cool. Like, I could just spend a week there, just walking around, like you talking to people, just learning everything. And there's so many cool places there. And it's great because every video
it's like, you know, because I remember one point, like, it's like, well, that's like the same place. And I'm like, but there's different pieces to it.
Oh,
You know, you got the gum wall, and then you're, you know, on the waterfront, and then you're inside
yeah.
talking to flower vendors, and you got the pastry shop. I'm like, it's so neat. It's pretty cool. So that's great.
There's a lot of stuff. There's a magic shop, and I try to
Wow.
change it up because this will be my officially. I mean, I've been to Pike Place before, but just real
Right.
quickly, you know, the official monthly walking tour began January of 2021. So
That's right.
this will be episode 13, and so
Wow.
I have to morph it a little bit. You know, I don't want to do the same, let's just go walk through Pike Place Market. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking about how to, again, bring value, make it,
Yep.
you know, a little bit more fun, maybe a little adventurous. Maybe I will walk from Pioneer Square, going through all the alleys. Maybe I'll just
Nice.
getting to Pike Place Market, going through just alleys, because there's many alleys here. And people
Yeah.
might be like, well, might be entertaining. Maybe he'll get mugged. Maybe he'll step on needles,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I'll be like, well, let me know in the comments if you want me to step on needles, you know? I'll be like,
Right.
all
Right.
that stuff.
I know. I love that. And getting back to the value piece, you know, I think that you hit the nail on the head earlier, but like the piece of when you put that out there, like, what would you guys like to see? And I was like, oh, I'm commenting, like, there's so many things I'd love to see. And then
Yeah.
I was reading through the comments the other day, and like, it's amazing how there's so many different things people want to see. And it's like, that's it. You're providing value. You're asking people, hey, what are you interested in? What would you like to see? And that's the core of it, which is great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I love how your videos are. I mean, they just seem, they're so professional. The audio is great. So what type of equipment do you use? You have base equipment, or what kind of do you use, like for camera and, let's say, microphone?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I started out by using big professional gear. I mean,
Right.
professional sort of subjective, because you can use a GoPro for professional stuff, which I actually do use a GoPro. But to answer you in a nutshell, I have many cameras. I mean, I have my full frame Sony cameras. Currently, I shoot with a Sony A7 III. I have Sony
Right.
A6400. I have a Sony what is it, ZV-1. I have a Sony FDR X3000. And then I have two DJI Osmo Pockets. I have the first version and the second version. And my most used camera right now is the DJI Osmo Pocket
Yep.
2 with the creator combo. So I use that a lot. It suits what my use,
Right.
my application, which is walking tours. But I also use GoPros. You know, I have a GoPro
Oh, wow.
8, and I have other cameras as well. But for most of what I do, I use the DJI Osmo Pocket. It's small, It does the trick, and it seems I mean, cameras are getting smaller and smaller, but I also like that because I'm not my vlogging style is not about, hey, look at me, I'm this tough guy, big bad camera, expensive.
Right.
That's not who I am. You know, I like to be, the opposite of intrusive. I want to be a ninja with my.
I love it.
Most of the time, you know.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I'm too. Is like, I'm always looking like, how do I improve the video? How do I improve the sound? Because I want to like show people like, hey, look at this area. Like when I go on a tour somewhere or I interview somebody, it's like, you know, in person, I want to have the right equipment, good equipment, so it looks good, the lighting and everything. And again, it's back to that value. But yeah, I have the DJI Pocket as well. I love it, and it's funny. Like, I'm good with technology, I can figure it out, but it takes me for some reason a lot longer right now. Because when I first got, I'm like, what am I doing? And it's pointing towards me, and I'm like, wait, I got to point this way. I'm like, let me swipe up here. And I'm like, oh my God. And then my kids are like, here, give me this. And they're like, there you go. I'm like, you guys should be vlogging more here. You know, it's great.
Yeah. Give it to the 8-year-old. They know everything about tech. Right?
Exactly. It's amazing. So what type of editing software do you use right now? Because a lot of people have asked me that question, like, okay, there's a lot out there, but what do you use? Because your editing really is great.
Yeah. You know, my style is very, very simple. I'm a minimalist with editing, and that's because I want things to look as raw as possible. I mean, sometimes you got to edit stuff out. So I used to use Final Cut Pro, but then I stopped using that, and I just use what comes with my MacBook, which is iMovie.
Oh, nice.
I just use iMovie. It's free. It does the trick. And because, the other camera I use is iPhone 12 Pro Max. Now, the thing about iMovie that is awesome with the iPhone is that, you know, they're the same company, right? So like the HDR, the Dolby Vision that the iPhone has, Apple products, so iMovie, Apple software, it recognizes that format, and so when you view it on your phone after you edit it on like iMovie,
Yeah.
it looks like how it looks on your phone, and so I like that they're compatible.
Yeah.
So I use iMovie.
That's awesome. And I know I got my phone, and I'll tell you what, like when I do something outside anymore, like I do have a lot of pieces of equipment and stuff and cameras, but I just find like my phone, it's great. I have like a Movo wireless mic. I hook up to it and go, and it's just and the quality is amazing. And I sit here and like just amazed and say, wow, there's so many people, like you said, have this big equipment. Sometimes you just don't need it. It's the raw footage, you know, and just the raw piece of it. Hey, you're out here and you see it, and it's great stuff that comes through. And that's what I love about your stuff is it's raw, and it's just really good. And like the minimal stuff, like I don't like to throw a lot of crazy wipes and fades and things like that in there. Occasionally I do when I do some funny things, but just keep it simple, and it will come across really well.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
that's my style, you know, very, very simple.
I love it. So if I'm somebody that would love to break into vlogging, because, you know, every day I hear my kids, oh, I got to go shoot a video and it's funny, I got to do this, I can do that. What would be some advice you would give to somebody if you're breaking into, you know, wanting to do YouTube and break out and do some really good vlogging? What's one piece of advice maybe?
Yeah, you know, I would say research. Look within your, like, look on YouTube, but search within yourself to find out who you want to be.
Right.
Like you want to be yourself. You want to be original. You want to be yourself. But like, who might inspire you? What style of shooting and editing, turns you on? And research that, you know, because the way I see it is to really simplify vlogging. There's this is an oversimplification, Joe, but there's two types of vloggers. There are the cinematic vloggers with the full frame cameras, the big rig, and, you know, 24 frames per second. Everything looks very beautiful. The music's dramatic. Everything's gorgeous. And then there are the opposite of those guys, the phone, the small camera vloggers. I fall into that category. But when I started, that wasn't me. When I started, I was like, I'm gonna be Casey Neistat, or I'm gonna be Peter McKinnon, right? What's up, everybody? I mean, just like high energy and big cameras. So I think as a starting point, maybe figure that out and figure out how you wanna slice the pie, so to speak, you know, and then go from there. Because if you're going to do the cinematic stuff, like, you're going to be a once a week uploader, maybe even less, because that's going to take a lot of time unless you're committed full time to doing that. Or if you're going to do more casual stuff, you can post more frequently. And I don't want to get too deep into that, because that is probably an answer for a different question, like how. Because we can talk all day, like how often you upload and stuff. You know, there's just so much to talk about.
So much, yeah. No, I like that. And I think you bring up a great point too, because when I, you know, talk to people as well, and they'll ask me, I'm like, oh, what's the big equipment you have? Like, I got my phone, I got a little pocket device, you know, and like, well, really? And you shot that on that? I'm like, yeah. And now I have some good studio lighting that I like, because I like the lighting and like the good audio, but it's been progressive for me. It's like I built it up, and I just don't have any of the big equipment anymore. Even my drone is like 4 years old now, and it's like, it still works. I still, you know, maintenance it and everything. And the picture quality is great. I'm like, I don't need to upgrade. And what you see is what you get, and it's great. So I love that advice.
One of my vloggers, Joe, is he uses 99% of the time just his iPhone. Wow. And when I learned that he uses just an iPhone and without an external mic. Now, he recently got an external mic, but before I think last year, it was everything just the phone, onboard mic, and it was amazing. And so it really speaks to the operator, you know, like, and your vision, you know, and so you can do a lot with the phone. I mean, a phone is not a cheap camera. These are like $1,000 cameras, right? I mean, people forget about that, you know, it's like they're expensive, more expensive than a lot of cameras actually. So you can do a lot with the phone. So start with the phone for the newbies, I think. Yeah,
it's amazing. And that's what I've told my kids too, is like, hey, you got your phone. You don't need all that stuff. Your phone's great. And, you know, with the iPhone, it's got all the cameras here you can see. And it's like, it's pretty clear and it looks really good. And then when I put it in, it's like you could, you know, edit and play around with it a little bit, but it works really, really well. And it's so easy too. Just plug and play and that's it. So
yeah, I love it. I love using
awesome. My phone. Yeah, you talked about this before too, a little bit about providing value and asking and getting feedback and things. But I remember one of your videos, it was great. You mentioned like, hey, you might not like my channel. You know, some of you said, hey, you know, you like me to talk a lot, or you don't. It might not be the right channel for you. And I love how you're so honest about that. But we always get critics. So how do you, and you handle them well. So how do you handle critics like that when they're not so nice? You know, because a lot of people get bullied out there and they get upset, but you just, for me, it's like you seem to handle it with ease. So how do you do that?
Yeah, well, I try my best to not let that affect me. There's two columns for me. There's two
Right.
columns: things I can control, things I cannot control, and then there's supporters and there's haters.
Yep.
And there's stuff in between too. But I like to
Sure.
put things in layman's terms sometimes so that I can process, and as well as help others to process more readily and just easier. But I mean, I can't control what people say.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of pessimistic, negative people out there to begin with, and also it's the internet. Like people
Yep.
are they're gonna go and throw punches, and so that's sort of how I see it now. The way I handle that physically is, I mean, sometimes I'll hide them from the channel, I'll block them, I'll delete the comment, things of that nature. Sometimes I just get tired of it because there's so many. I just let some of them linger so that other viewers can maybe see them too. So that's sort of how I handle that. I don't let that get to me. I've been through a lot in life, so I have thick skin too. So I don't really care about stuff like that too much.
Me too.
I don't take
I
it
know.
personal.
Yeah.
And I'll vent a little bit. Like I'll go on the next video and touch on it a little bit. Oh, you don't want, but a lot of that is, there's some entertainment value that I sprinkle into all of that by saying that. And it's a way for me to vent a little bit,
Yeah, and I like that too, because sometimes I'll do that when I do some videos. There'll be comments on there. I'll do TikToks and like, what are you doing? Or this is dumb. And, I'll dress it and have fun with it and play it up a little bit. But yeah, I have thick skin to it. I just like let it roll. And I think what I do is typically like if they continuously do it, like I'll warn them and then I'll be like, look, let me give them a shot, block them or just hide them and stuff. Cause it's like, I don't want to spend so much time on it. I just want to continue to provide as much value as you can.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Don't let that get to you.
Yeah. So what's next for your channel? We talked a little bit about some of the things you want to do. And I know you mentioned on a previous video, but what's next for your channel? What do you see?
Yeah, good question. I mean, awesome question, because, it's still the start of the new year and I've thought about where my channel might go and that sort of thing. And so I definitely want to focus more on like the relaxation stuff. So I like to think of my channel as like reality plus relaxation. And sometimes it's a mixture, right? Like when I'm walking down Pioneer Square at night, there's nothing relaxing about that to a lot of people. But to some, that's relaxing, right? Like, so a lot of it's subjective. So these things, the R&R, sometimes they mix, sometimes they're separate things. Sometimes it's strictly reality. Hey, I'm going to do this today. Walk down these mean streets of Seattle or whatever, and you're going to see it. Or sometimes they're like, hey, I'm going to go through the most beautiful park in Seattle, one of over 300 beautiful parks in this awesome city. And this is what it's going to look like. So one thing I want to do is that, and then collaborations too. I want to do collaborations this year. So I've got some collabs lined up. And then interviews as well, but interview in a different format, not just like sitting down like this. I'll do this too, but I want to do like a walk and talk style of interviews where I'm walking with my interviewee and we're talking, and then car rides too, just kind of like you see on talk shows, driving and like, hey, let's talk it up about something. Drives are therapeutic, and a lot comes out during car rides.
Yeah, and that's definitely what I want to get into too, is more car rides. And then as I'm talking to guests too, like if I have some local or regional, like I love to just go walk on the like the riverfront we have down here, walk there and just talk and roll with it. And I think it just gives a good setting and something a little bit different than this. Like this is fun, but then it's like also getting out and just changing it up a little bit. So I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really good. Well, this has been awesome, man. I really appreciate you joining us. And as I ask all my guests, the one final question is if you had one piece of success advice, like what is one tip of success you can give to everybody?
So for YouTube, consistency. Consistency. You especially when you're new, you got to get your stuff out there, your name out there. Let YouTube know who you are, and it will you'll start to see it. I think you'll start to see the results. But consistency, whether that's weekly or whatever you might do, daily, whatever. If you're serious about it, you got to have consistency. I think that's the main ingredient. There's so many ingredients in the recipe, but that, especially when you're starting out, consistency.
I agree. It's just showing up too. Cause I know in the beginning when I was getting frustrated, I'm like, oh, I'm not getting views. And like everybody else, you get impatient. And I said, look, let me give this a shot and see what happens. And like for this show format, I've been doing it a little over a year now. And I finally started to see a break where in the beginning it was like 20 views, 30. Now it's like hundreds, and a couple of them, are like 10,000, 11,000. I'm like, oh, this is great. But then I'm like, I go back to it's great, it's helpful, but then it's like the value, what value do I want to provide? But I think the consistency really breeds all that. So that is awesome. Awesome stuff. So it sounds like it's getting packed in there. I love it, man. I love the atmosphere and the aura. That is so cool. It's so
this
cool.
place is awesome.
Yeah.
This place is awesome. I'm going to actually do a tour of maybe this place too, but I'm going to do a tour of the bathhouse, the only Japanese bathhouse that's intact in the country.
Oh, wow.
Following this interview. So folks, go to my channel and check it out. It's going to be interesting, a piece of history.
I love it. I love it. So again, just if you could let everybody know what your channel is, and then I think you're on Instagram as well too. So it's at Lao Ocean.
Yes, Lao Ocean, Lao, and then ocean, like body of water, Lao Ocean.
Awesome. Well, Dennis, thank you so much for joining us here, and appreciate your time on the Career and Life Show. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Joe. Take care.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. Take care, everybody.
What did you think? Was that not an awesome interview with Dennis? I loved it. It honestly was one of my favorite interviews of all time. And I know I've interviewed a lot of celebrities, some entrepreneurs, but I just love sitting down and talking with people who are movers and shakers and making a difference in this world. And it was kind of cool talking to Dennis in the coffee shop he was in, having coffee. It was like we were just sitting down chatting just about everything and anything. And he brought up some really key points about YouTubing and vlogging, value, add value to what you're doing. I think a lot of us forget that. We go out there, we shoot what we think makes sense. And yes, that's important because we have an idea and we have a concept. But Dennis, and you can see, asks questions, poses them in his YouTube channel, on Instagram, and he asks people in this video as he's narrating, what do you guys think? What do you want to see more of? And I think that's so important. And we miss that value piece because we're so focused on what we're doing, the technical aspect of things, what's working, what's not, yet we need to ask that question of, how am I adding value to this project or to this business? Because at the end of the day, the value you're adding is going to help people in whatever they're doing. And he brought up a lot of great key points about editing. He keeps it natural. Same thing with lighting. Very simple equipment. Talked about his iPhone. Talked about using what I'm using right now as a DJI Pocket. It's a small little device I'm walking around with, and it's super amazing to use. So I really hope you got a lot out of what we talked about. You can use these tools and tips to put them into your vlogging and to your YouTube channel and be very, very successful at it. I'm gonna get ready to get back inside. It is freezing cold. I think the temperature has dropped now. Drinking my Starbucks coffee. We'll see you next time on the Career and Life Show, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.